Welcome to the Growth Boss podcast, where we seek out the secrets to high-performing campaigns from some of the smartest marketers in the world. I'm your host, Jared Smith. Today, I have Nick Anderson Vines with me, and he's going to teach us how to get your first inbound lead from LinkedIn in 100 days with less than 1,000 followers. Nick Anderson Vines is a ghostwriter and lead generation strategist who helps marketing agency founders attract high-value clients through LinkedIn. With over 15 years of experience at top agencies like Ogilvy and Saatchi & Saatchi, Nick has mastered using LinkedIn content to connect founders with clients that drive real growth. He focuses on breaking the endless cycle of pitching and prospecting by building a LinkedIn content engine that brings ideal clients directly to them. His approach is designed to increase agency value, build authority, and create a steady flow of profitable leads, allowing founders to focus on scaling their business with confidence. Nick, thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks, Jared. Really good to meet you and to be here.
Awesome. So Nick, if I were going to quit my job today and I only had a couple hundred followers on LinkedIn and I need to generate my first client in 30 days or less, what would you suggest I do first?
So I think it's first important to understand the context of why you should be on LinkedIn at this very point and using that as your main platform. So just for context, LinkedIn has 900 million users. 2 new members are flocking to LinkedIn every second, and the average salary of LinkedIn is about $90,000 a year. So according to HubSpot, it is like the best, almost lucrative lead generation platform or social media platform. And it's the best for B2B specifically. And we have 50% of all purchasing decisions are being made through LinkedIn. So most people in B2B will be using LinkedIn to vet you, check out your optics, right? So it's incredibly important right now to have those right optics and to have the right system in place, on LinkedIn. So that's the first thing that I would say. Now, step one would be understanding your positioning. LinkedIn has become a really it's getting more saturated basically by this point. More and more people are flocking to LinkedIn. So the first thing is to understand, who am I trying to help? I mean, am I being specific in who I'm helping and how I'm going to help them? Okay, so this is why, and I hate to use the cliche, but niching down is going to be extremely important for you as your first port of call as soon as you start. Understanding what is my expertise, okay? So you have to appear as a specialist from the get-go. That would be, let's say, saving you a few months of pain and frustration immediately out of the gate. Okay?
And real quickly, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners struggle with that. And I know I have. This has been honestly one of the biggest things I've struggled with because you're afraid to niche down. And I think the other side of it is you don't know how far to niche down. One of the things I've looked at with one of my marketing agencies is we kind of started by doing SEO for everybody. And then we're like, we really enjoy the healthcare niche. So we're like, let's just serve everybody in the healthcare niche. And then we're like, wait a minute, we really like just serving surgeons. But it's like, how far down should you go down that rabbit hole of niching down?
Well, I think it depends on, let's say, the range of your services. So, for example, I help digital marketing founders, let's say, which is, pretty specific. I know that within that you have PPC, SEO, etc. But then I have, let's say, a range of services. So in a way, that's a vertical niche. I'm serving one kind of individual with email marketing, LinkedIn, XY, whatever. Okay, so that in a way is a really good way to kind of balance out your niche slightly. So we have vertical niches and then we have horizontal niches. A horizontal niche would be, I help everybody with SEO, very specific, or I help everybody like B2B founders with educational email courses. So we have a specific way to help them as well. And I think that serving everyone's good, but perhaps focus on the way you're going to help them, or focus on one person's really good, surgeon, but have a range of ways that you can help them to create leeway. And let's not forget, we're talking about LinkedIn optics, okay? It's great to appear as a specialist helping a very specific person or have a very specific way of helping. But that doesn't mean that you can then upsell them or someone else into a different kind of service. Or it doesn't mean that you're cutting off absolutely everybody. So I help digital marketing founders, but I attract design founders because I'm kind of speaking the same kind of language. So the important thing is that everyone thinks it's such a, God, what's the idiom? A be all and end all, right? It's like, if I choose one, I'll never go back and it's over. I just hope that it's the right one.
Yeah.
So they spend loads of time trying to really find that one, but
Yeah.
actually just have fun with it. Just go with something, right? And something will happen, and people, no matter what you do, you might end up, oh, actually, well, here's the real niche. So what I'm saying is that it's good to just have one, and then you'll either attract more or you can upsell them into other things.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And one of the things that has helped me is, I have to remind myself that the largest companies in the world all started out very, very niche. I mean, Apple created their first computers for people that were going to put the computers together themselves. They were the DIYers. So you can start really, really niche, and you're not boxing yourself in for life. You're just boxing yourself in so that you can get off the ground and going.
Exactly that. And the same should go with LinkedIn. I'd say choose a horizontal niche or a vertical niche, and obviously use whatever specialism that you have and what kind of gets you out of bed in the morning to help govern that decision, right? And I know it's a cliche, but I think that if I was literally going to leave corporate and start today, I would do that 100% because it's worked for me in multiple areas that I've built businesses from.
Amazing.
So the mentality should be really, LinkedIn is one landing page, your profile, okay, with one offer or one audience that you're serving, okay? So that's a infamous kind of copywriting principle. One landing page, one offer, boom, right? And that's the attitude that you should have with LinkedIn, okay? So step one, then you decided, I'm going to be this kind of person, help these people in this way. Let's start with your profile. This is the first thing that I would address, how you're literally appearing when you drive traffic to your landing page, right? The first thing, the eye starts at the banner. Okay, I've read studies. It looks at the banner, then goes down to the headline. Boom, boom. So you have to come up with a positioning statement and a tagline. You want two different statements, one for the banner, one for the headline beneath your name. Now, when it comes to the banner, of course, use social proof. If you have any logos of companies you worked with, sure, great. But really try and go for premium design and have one tagline that really conveys the person you help, the problem you solve, or how you help them, okay? And then the same goes with your headline. Again, by looking at the banner and the tagline and the positioning statement, they should immediately understand, like, the person that you help, the problem that you solve, and the way that you do that, okay? Most people will go for a positioning statement like, I help B2B founders, yeah, that classic kind of format, which is good and that can help. But I really like the imperative sentences in the headline. Like mine is, get your messaging on the money. My friends is, grab attention in 45 minutes. Do this, right? It's very immediate, and you're talking to your reader, right?
Yeah.
Now you've only got 45 characters with that headline, okay, really. Oh no, well, you've got longer, but when you comment, only 45 characters will appear next to your name.
Okay.
So you gotta really think about, I want a nice statement there.
Yes.
Then I can talk about everything else about me, helping, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
That's one thing I would definitely, that's a lesson I learned, obviously. Okay. So picture, look straight at the camera, be smiling, be up close. Okay. Simple. That's really, really useful. People who do this, it's just, you remember them less. It's a weird thing. You just don't remember those guys.
Right.
Yeah, exactly that. So we've covered the banner and the headline. Now you have a custom button beneath your name. Okay, where you can click a button. Okay, now this is very, very important. We're only looking at the first part of your profile, but we want to max out conversions immediately, right? Now, some people would use a custom button to say, visit our website or join our newsletter. Very me, selfish.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Give them a promise or make a claim that they'll get something. Okay, like for example, how to get your first inbound lead on LinkedIn in 100 days.
Yeah.
Okay, something that's really gonna compel them to say, yes, that's what I want.
Yeah.
You haven't even got to the content. They haven't even seen your post yet, but they're already able to get something of value to them. Okay. Now, many people would actually use a newsletter, for example, and that might be the product. But here's the trick. Right now, if I was starting in 2024, I would do an educational email course in my edit custom button. So a 5-day email course that helps you solve a very specific problem, because the perceived value is the highest it can ever really be. More than a lead magnet, more than a newsletter. Okay. So we have to remember why we're on social, and it's to obviously convert. Okay. So we want to capture people onto an email list immediately, like right now. They haven't even got to your about section yet, but we want to get them now, right now. But a newsletter isn't compelling enough. It could be the best newsletter in the world. I don't care. It can have open rates of 50%, but that's not compelling enough. Okay. So the cheat code now, and everyone's slowly cocking onto this, is educational email courses as a custom button on LinkedIn beneath your name. Okay. Do you have any questions about that?
No, I mean, well, I guess one question I have would be, how long should that educational email course be? Is this kind of a 7-day type of course, or does longer work better, or kind of what's working right now?
5 days or 7 days?
5 days, 5 to 7. Okay.
Yeah, it feels like long enough, short enough that, you're not, it's not paining you to make this really long email course, but you're giving that value away. Okay. So EECs, as we call them, I build them. I have my own. If you go to my profile, you will see it. They're compared to newsletters, the opt-in rates are 30 to 50% higher than a standard join my newsletter CTA. Okay. So they have high perceived value. They allow you to really shine in front of your readers as the authority, as the mentor, as the educator. Obviously, I'm helping founders who sell very complex services like marketing agency services, right? It gets complex. People need educating. They need to be the educator. That's what differentiates them with their competitors. Okay, so I would actually create an email course that solves a very specific problem that promises a tangible outcome after a very specific set of days, because there's nothing like that compared to join my newsletter. Why should I care though? Because you haven't told me what you do. I don't understand who you are.
Yeah.
For me, you don't answer those questions with a newsletter. You just say join it. It's like, no, I won't, which is why EECs. So within that educational email course, we have obviously increased conversion opportunities. Day one, lesson one, this, and then you can try and convert them on day one. Day two, try and convert them on day two. And we're always relating the conversion, the CTA, back to the material of the lesson and how that relates to the problem that they're having as a business or whatever. So there's multiple opportunities for conversion. Okay. There's ongoing relationship building between you and them. If they feel closer to you, because you're teaching them and you're creating multiple touch points, brand touch points. You could only have posted, say, 2 posts on LinkedIn that week, but they've got 5 really good lessons from you. So in a way, they're like, Jared's everywhere, teaching me everything, right? So this is really, really useful. Okay.
And real quick on that, what are you recommending people use for that newsletter? I feel like LinkedIn has kind of a newsletter function, or is it an email marketing software program?
Oh, yeah. So absolutely use an email marketing software program. Okay. I use ConvertKit because it's easy and it's useful, and I build the landing pages with Card, and that's all very kind of easy, and that's what I use for clients, etc. And myself.
Okay.
So the idea here is, Jed, that we do want to send them emails weekly, but the way that we bring them onto that list isn't join my email list. It is solve this problem. Okay. For example,
benefit to them.
Exactly. So how e-commerce brands can drive sales and slash wasted ad spend in 30 days. Email course, the B2B growth guide, the 5 biggest mistakes supply chain marketers make that lead to sabotage sales, demoralize employees, and lost market share, and how to solve them. So okay, let's do this, right? We're in. I'm in. Give it to me now. So anyway, so this is the first part of your LinkedIn real estate. We have a well-written headline, positioning statement, and we're already getting them onto an email list in a way that's going to be, let's just say, more effective right from jump.
Yep.
Okay. So what next? So then we go down to the featured section, and obviously we want to pin that educational email course. Now I'm being very, very particular here. I hope you don't mind, but I'm literally saying
Yeah.
what I'll do, right? I
Yeah.
would actually pin that educational email course like as the first thing in my featured section. And I would then have testimonials next to that. And let's say a Calendly link that goes direct to, like
Booking a
talking
call.
to me. Forget putting posts up if unless it's social proof, perhaps. That's how I'd use that real estate.
Okay.
I would also, if I'm using Calendly, another important point about conversion, because remember we're here to convert people, is to actually pre-qualify in the Calendly link that you have in your LinkedIn featured section. So if they
Okay.
click on that, it's very important that you're asking them pre-qualifying questions in the Calendly link after they click the date that they want to see you. So my questions would be something like, I don't know, let's say, what's the one thing that Nick can help you with? And what's your company headcount? Okay, I'm egging towards, tell me how much money you're making, but
Yeah.
I'm not sounding like a salesy person. I'm not saying things like, what's your biggest challenge?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
obviously kind of really like, okay, tell me, So you want to be careful, but it's a really good way. People don't use Calendly very well for that. They don't pre-qualify through Calendly. Okay, so that's one thing I would say there. If you're selling something directly in the Calendly, so you're selling something through Calendly, always make sure that you're using Calendly then as like a checkout page. Integrate widgets like testimonial widgets into Calendly so that when they're buying, they know that there's social proof there. I would just, say buy this and not have any social proof kind of like on that same page, right? So this is kind of very, very important thing. Again, I'm being very, very specific here, but
Yeah.
apps like Testimonio are really good for transferring very nice looking written testimonials like onto landing pages and Calendly and things like that. Okay, so then we've optimized the profile for conversion. Obviously, you want an about section that is going to either follow two different frameworks, okay? You're going to have a problem, agitate, solution structure, which is a copywriting structure, where you start with them, you talk about their pain points and what they're going through as your customer. Then you agitate a bit and you use emotional language to really reflect how they think, how they're feeling because of that problem. And then you enter into the transformation, how you can then help and then project forward what their life could be like if they actually used you as a partner or vendor. And just that kind of structure has been very, very useful as a general copywriting structure. Most people will say things like keen problem solver with demonstrated history of working in SaaS. And it's like, now they're
Yeah.
using it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just a classic thing. No, you talk about them straight away, you agitate, and then you present your solution, and you end with social proof testimonials. Okay. The other way is storytelling, starting with your story, and you go through that same process of problem, agitate, solution, but you're always making you relatable. They're the hero of the story, really. You're being that character in the movie.
Yeah, they can see themselves in your shoes as you're
Exactly
sharing.
right.
Yeah.
But the main principle here is all about them.
Yeah.
Okay. Entertaining them, right? It's great. It's copywriting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's basically on day one, everything that I would do to fix my profile. Okay. So I know that my landing page is ready and primed for conversion when the traffic comes. Okay. So what do we do next? Engagement strategy. Okay. So this is a lot of where the rubber meets the road, quite frankly. So we would start by linking it to Sales Navigator, and we would actually build a list of qualified leads. But the important filter here is to filter them for how active they are on LinkedIn. Okay, so there's the thing that says post in the last 30 days. Okay, it's an amazing filter. So you know that be active, right? Other good filters are ARR, obviously, just things like that. Obviously, you know your customer, build up a list, essentially. Then we want to go to Google Sheets and draw up categories of different people, okay? People who are in our target client industry. So, for example, if you're selling to SaaS, we want SaaS creators, okay? We want the top kind of voices in SaaS, and we want active people on LinkedIn who maybe aren't as, say, popular or influencer, who are also extremely active on the platform, and we would build out a list of people that we would connect with and put on that list. The second category would be people in our industry. So you're in SEO, you'd put the influencers at the top of the list, and then you'd find people who are active on LinkedIn and enjoy marketing, and we also put them on that list. Then the third list would be prospects, people that we're connecting with through Sales Navigator, and then we're tracking who they are and we're putting them on that list. And the fourth category would be just friends, people who support you and like your content and will be there for you, and who you reciprocate with as peers. Okay.
Yep.
So here we have we're building out 4 lists as we go through the months of those kinds of people. Okay. But the one thing that binds all these people is that they're active on LinkedIn. That's really important, because we want active people to look, they will engage more likely with your content, and their network will see it. So there's more, it opens up for more impressions as we go. Okay. So it's really important. Sales Navigator is really good because you can actually go to the Sales Navigator feed and you can filter your homepage with people who are your prospects and the activity that they've been doing. So we'll be able to see all the posts that your target prospects have posted recently, just your prospects. So you can just comment on Sales Navigator in order to build your familiarity with them, etc., or their familiarity with you. Now, some people say, oh, can't I just use automation to just send out loads of connection requests? I would not do that in a way, because you could just connect with loads of people on autopilot. But really what increases connections is when people are actually commenting, building that relationship and sending a really nice personalized connection request. Okay. I wouldn't use up your time and money to automate it so much. I'd really want to really improve chances that they're going to be a connection with you by actually sending a personalized note, or at least commenting on their post and then connecting with them. Automation cannot comment on their posts for you. We're not that good yet. All it can do is like. So we want to create a thing where, oh, there's this guy. Jared's come again to comment. Oh, what a nice guy. What a nice guy. And then obviously they're happy to connect with you.
Share a couple examples of really good personal connection requests that you've developed or you've seen.
Sure. I think ones that relate directly back to the post that you commented on. Say, hey, wow, I really enjoyed the post about X, Y, and Z. I never thought that A, B, and Z would be cool to connect with you to stay up to date with your journey, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Like that kind of very innocent bracketed, that's okay, or if that's your sort of thing.
Right.
But the thing is that you want to make it sound like a friend. Yeah. Don't send in mails, right? You got to make it sound like this is a friend talking to me. He's using, abbreviations. He's using hyphens and parenthesis, a smiley face.
Yeah.
This is, even cold emails work good when it feels like it's a familiar person,
right.
No blocking, just ugly, actually, and ugly. Okay, so that's kind of how I would actually manage connecting with people. Always, when I help clients, we have teams that help engage in that way and have a system around engagement. But this can easily be done on your own. Build out those lists, always connect with active people, always make sure that you're commenting on Sales Navigator, commenting on your target prospects. Okay, that's kind of, that activity is going to be happening throughout the whole process, but I would definitely by this point start commenting and connecting and organizing these people into those 4 main lists. Okay. Now the third thing would be content strategy. Okay, so you have to ask your session, how do I want to be seen? Okay, a really simple question that lots of people don't really ask themselves. Do I want to be a frameworker kind of person? Do I want to give them the 5 steps, the tips, the hacks? Okay, do I want to be more of a storyteller? These things are very, very important, because you can't jump so quickly between all the different kinds of ways of conveying a message, because it becomes you becoming consistent as a personality, right? If Malcolm Gladwell started just giving his opinions in his book, we'd be like, what? This isn't what I want. I'm used to the guy who gives the frameworks with a bit of anecdotal stuff, be like, what is this? And the same thing has to be there with you. You have to kind of understand, like, how do I how do I want to be perceived?
Mm-hmm.
It's a really, really important question. And many creators still don't really know that in some way. Even I've struggled with it. So that's a really, really important question.
So tell us how you want to be perceived. As you kind of gone through that process, you spent a lot of time thinking about it. What conclusion did you come to?
I'm more of a framework guy. I like to give actionable steps to people in a sense. But I also like to be very honest. I like to kind of blend in storytelling like into my frameworks, like refer it back to real life examples about myself. And that's really good. That creates a very kind of foolproof kind of writing experience when you're blending, you've got the main kind of like framework, let's say, but then you're kind of adding in the other ones ever so slightly. And that creates a very kind of full kind of reading experience for people. The problem is that they jump very quickly to just one or the other, and it's less effective. Yeah, that's definitely how I would say that. My first business was teaching English to copywriters, and I was very much about, this is how you do this, right? So I come from I have a long catalog of giving people instructions and frameworks and steps and guides to achieve certain things. So that's how I would do it. What about yourself, out of interest?
Yeah, I think I want to be seen as the go-to guy in my industry. And, the thing that's been going through my mind lately and what I was just thinking about is sharing news, kind of the latest news around SEO. A lot of people are sharing, here's different frameworks we're using. And I think that can be helpful for me, but I was like, there's not like that go-to guy. I mean, there's obviously a couple of news sites, but I think I can fill a role there where I don't just share the news, but I comment on here's what it means. So all the other news websites are just, here's the news. And I'm like, hey, here's what this latest algorithm update in Google actually means to you.
Exact. And so you're a fact that there's a name for that kind of individual. And that's someone who likes to give the very specific facts and frameworks and updates about something. According to X, Y, and Z, 98% of da 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 da. Yeah. So yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. So we've decided how we want to be seen. Now we have to really start with a content strategy. So who are we writing content to? We know that who our ideal customer is. So for example, I help big busy marketing founders. So they would be at the bottom of my funnel. Okay. Now we'd have to work upwards to middle and top. Okay. Now the middle of funnel in that sense would be a B2B founder, solopreneur, consultant, who still has to write online and is still going through the similar pains and would like some advice. So they'd appreciate that instructional middle of funnel content. Yeah. Okay. Then we go further up. What's the next deviation above that? It would be, let's say, people who are really interested in people who write content are not interested in writing. Yeah. So we have a nice funnel, but we're not going too wide at the top. Okay, we are opening the funnel at the right place with people we are sticking within our field, but we are opening at the right place. Many people try and go viral and appeal to everyone, and in some sense damage their brand slightly because people get confused about who are you again and what are you selling? Yeah. And I see many people who are doing this where they will do very generalized content that appeals to absolutely everyone. And I'm not saying that there's a customer somewhere within there, but I think that it's more effective if you want to make more sales up front, that you should try and limit that top of funnel to people who are interested in your topic. Okay. I don't need to tell you because you're a marketer, obviously, but to those other people, that's what I would do. I'd be very strict with that. Okay. So the contents that I would be really going for right now would be cheat sheets and videos and carousels. I think are very good right now. I obviously work with designers who help me make that stuff for people, but the algorithm is favoring that obviously at this time. So I would say those are the formats that I would be trying my best to work towards doing. I would be posting one bottom of funnel piece of content per week, maybe two at a maximum. And I would fill it out with, say, 3 middle of funnel and one or two top of funnel, perhaps. Okay. So I'd be posting 5 to 7 times a week. And I'd be mostly doing middle of funnel, a couple of top of funnels, and then a bottom of funnel with that.
And with the videos, what kind of topics do you like and how long should those videos be?
No more than 2 minutes.
Okay.
I don't think it really matters what specific content pillar that you're doing. It could be a story It could be just an opinion, or it could be something really insightful and instructive. It doesn't matter. I just think that for effectiveness and for engagement, that's a really good bet right now to do videos or cheat sheets particularly.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. Cheat sheets are usually going to be good for, obviously, educational content, right? But it doesn't really matter with video. You can be educational, you could be entertaining, you could be selling, you could be converting if you want.
Interesting.
It's more about the format.
Okay.
So let me get to a brief overview then of the actual content funnel. So when we're actually writing, we're finally getting to the writing. When we're looking at, say, top and middle of funnel posts, we have to be asking ourselves a real set of questions. So obviously the hook is very, very important. We have to ask ourselves, like, is it clear enough? Is it short enough for mobile? Is it specific enough? Am I engaging an emotion? These are really important questions for your top and middle of funnel hooks. And then when you get to the meat of the post, you have to be then asking yourself, am I actually giving enough away? Sometimes we say, would I be satisfied with this post? Am I giving enough to these people?
Yeah.
Am I holding back a key detail about this? And the difference between X and LinkedIn is that you have to give a bit more on LinkedIn. Obviously, X is very much about, people expect a quick, witty or insightful, bit of minimalist kind of like content. That's the expectation. Or they might expect a thread with, an actual instructional thing. But LinkedIn say, no, it's very much about giving away some value in the post. You can't just take X and put it on LinkedIn. Okay, so you have to be giving something away to these people. If it's a top of funnel content, is the story that I'm telling people, is there enough value? Is it relatable enough to these people?
Yep.
And then to conclude on these posts, we have to ask ourselves, does this sum up the post well? Will the reader remember the last line walking away? What emotion do I want the reader to feel by the time that they read it? And are they feeling it? Okay, really, really important questions to ask yourself. We've got 100 days, right? So we're posting 5 to 7 times a week. We know who we're targeting. We have a converting landing page profile. We're trying to capture them onto our email course from the get-go. We're being specific. We have a horizontal or vertical niche. Now, within that time, there's something that I like to do with my clients to get them that inbound lead. And we're not talking about automation, outbound. We're wanting people to approach them, right? This is what this is about. There's one thing that I really like to do once a month during that process, and that is a shout out post. Okay. Throughout this time, each month we're building a list of people. We're nurturing them through commenting on their posts. Okay, we're becoming quite close to them, and these people are either in our client industry or they are in our own industry perhaps. And we want to say, for example, we want to give them some sense of gratitude publicly. Okay, and we do this by essentially saying, hey everyone, these people have really helped me achieve X, Y, and Z. I don't know, I've learned a lot from them. These are the top of the week. I don't the top 10 women, let's just say, or female voices in digital marketing, or the top under 30 entrepreneurs in marketing or SaaS or something. Obviously you tag them to the post, and you can't do this every day. I've got multiple inbounds for clients doing this once a month, which is when you tag them in, and as you know, and sure you're aware perhaps, the engagement rate obviously skyrockets. If you go and use Shield Analytics, it will show you the engagement rate skyrockets up for that very, very moment during that month, and everyone sees it. Well, not everyone, but you see what I mean. Yeah. So it then opens the pool up dramatically. Yes. Because of our landing page profile, we're able to capture and pre-qualify the right people, okay, throughout that process. Okay, and then we have our Calendly or our email course ready to capture them from that point. Yeah. Okay. So then we obviously go to the important part of this, which is obviously the actual sales content. Okay, so really important. This is what is actually going to drive most inbound leads throughout this time where we're connecting with the right kinds of people and people associated within that industry, and they're seeing our content. With our bottom of funnel content, we have to be very, very judicious in how we write it, because this is when most people get so close but then fail. Okay, so for example, in the hook, we have to ask ourselves, have I called out my dream client directly? Have I stated their pain point or captured that thing that they're going through clearly enough? Have I piqued interest in the desired outcome that I'm giving them clearly enough?
Yep.
Right. So that's it. When we want to pre-qualify that traffic, we want to say, everybody else, go away. This isn't for you. This is for this person right now. Okay. This person needs to read this. And a lot of people would think, oh, but I'll be, missing out on engagement, or I'll be cutting people out. Well, no, that's not the point. We're doing this once a week. We want those people to feel heard, right?
Yeah,
You actually
exactly.
You're giving them that special real estate.
Yes.
Just for them. And in fact, they feel happy and honored that you've done
it.
So we call them out. And obviously, the next part is really showing a transformation. Many people, creators online, are trying to sell the plane ticket, right? Not the destination. They're trying to sell their process to everybody. They're trying to say, hey, we use these things and can do this in this way for you. And in a way, that can be useful at very specific points, but that's not how we want to do it. We want to sell the transformation that you've given someone, a client like them. We want to really go into detail of where that person was before they worked with you, that the emotional landscape that they were living in, and painting a picture of what their life was like, or maybe even the objections that they had with working with you, etc. Yep. And we're using emotive language, and we're really building that scene, and we're connecting that story to those ideal customers who are reading. And we want to be specific about their emotional state. And we want to go into the obstacles that they were facing. And then obviously we want the after. So we're using this kind of before and after scenario, how they now feel after going through this experience. And we're painting a picture of that transformation and the emotional landscape very, very clearly and specifically. We're giving a stark comparison between their life before, and then obviously the most important part is we are moving into a CTA, and this is where we have to really break the CTA down into 4 different parts. Yeah, we want to say, have I made it clear the person who I want to reach out to me is? Have I made that identity clear?
Yep.
Have I made it clear what problem I'm going to solve, or the desired outcome that they're going to get when working with me? Have I used FOMO, fear of missing out, as well? Is a very useful tool for these things. And lastly, the most important thing is what most people forget is, have I made it clear the steps that are going to happen in the short term after they've reached out to me? People like comfort. They want to know what's going to happen in the short term. If I reach out to Jared, if you just say, DM me, SEO, I'll be like, okay, but what happens next?
Yeah.
What happens after that happens? They want that comfort. They really want that comfort to know what those immediate steps. They understand the transformation, but they want to know. DM me SEO for a quick chat to help me understand how I can.
Yeah.
It's something very casual language.
Yes.
But that makes a huge difference. DM this to, and we will do this.
I love
that is the framework that I would use in a really high performing CTA. So yes.
Yeah, I love that. And, I think one of the things that's critical in this, I'm going through this, I'm like, man, we got to update our website. This applies to everything. I really hope that everybody's capturing that. This is obviously we're talking and using this for LinkedIn, but this is applicable to everything. So as you guys are listening and coming up with ideas, I really hope that you convert this over to your website. You convert this over to all of your marketing materials.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just using LinkedIn as the example because that's really want to be focusing. That's where you really want to be opening the funnel right now.
Yes.
The boom isn't over. I was very lucky. I started in 2020 when I started my first business. Boy, I was lucky to get in there and start when it was starting. But the boom hasn't finished.
Yeah.
We're still going, and there's still plenty of time for you to start with LinkedIn. But all the principles that I've told you regarding managing maybe your Instagram or your X, I'm not a LinkedIn strategist, as I said to you earlier on. I'm a ghostwriter. I run a ghostwriting agency, and I know what's been working.
Yep.
And I know that I help with email, Twitter, LinkedIn. I would apply everything that I've told you today to everything else if I could. But the key point here is getting them onto your email, okay? That to me is a conversion. And I said, how can you convert that in some sense is a really important conversion that you want to happen. You want to capture those email addresses, you want to drive traffic closer to you.
Yep.
Yes. So yeah, of course, absolutely, you can apply it to everything else.
Yeah. Love that. Love it. And one of the things you had mentioned, I want to make sure we don't skip over this, is, kind of your engagement protocols. So again, most business owners have limited time. If they are trying to do this on their own, how much time do they need each day to spend engaging, liking, commenting, and what does that look like?
Okay, so let's imagine that let's say that you have quit your job and it's just you, and you say, let's do this. That's obviously the best case scenario. That's going to speed up the results to get you the results that I've helped create, which is, let's say, 90 to 120 days of getting it done. But let's say you're already running an agency or you're still working. I would really focus on DMs first and foremost. Obviously, try and build that list on Sales Navigator. Okay, have that Sales Navigator homepage feed where you're seeing all your prospects.
Yeah.
Post, and obviously make time to go deep in the comments. 5 people deep with your. Then I would always reply and go deep with people who have been engaging with my post as well. I return the favor. Okay, really important staple of the LinkedIn diet is to return that favor. Okay.
Yep.
So 5 prospects, 5 peers. And then I would essentially try, if I can, comment on 5 influencers within your client's niche or in your industry niche. And again, go as deep as you can and make a point to connect with people. When you go to the big accounts, try and connect with people who are commenting on those big accounts. Look at their profile, see how active they are, and connect with them. Just press connect.
Yep.
Comment on them. So let's just say that's 15 comments a day. That's a really good day. If you're working busy, I mean, I'm busy. I do my own engagement, but I have people helping with clients' engagements.
Sure.
We try to go up to 30 to 40. And we also do some DM strategy along with that. That's the best case scenario. Just everything's taken care of. But if you are someone who is already really, really busy doing it themselves, 15, going deep, segmenting between industry people, like influencers in your niche, friends, and prospects.
Okay. Good.
But I would obviously, one more thing. I would really try and DM people and obviously welcome people who have connected with you. And if you can do, say, 3 to 5 DMs a day, just keeping on top of stuff like that, that's a really, really useful strategy. One thing I didn't mention is the fact that a really good technique, I call it the sniper technique, is when you're posting a bit of sales content, and you DM your ideal perfect customer. You just DM them, get a response from them. Why? Well, because it's very likely that if you engage with them in the DMs, that they're going to see your content more. If you are literally about to press post on a client success story, how I got my founder client 10 inbound leads, whatever. Make sure you're DMing your prospects that day. Let's just say that.
That's a great little hack. What?
Sometimes I forget it. I'm like, damn, I didn't do it. Yeah. But
Yeah. Nick, what do you feel like your top clients have in common? If you were to say, okay, here's all the clients I've worked with, but the 1 or 2 that have had maybe outsized returns, outsized results, what did those couple have in common that the others did not?
Okay, so obviously I help founders of marketing agencies. I'd say the differentiating factor would be their willingness to learn from me. So in a sense that I'm quite hands-on, and I would actually encourage them to write as well and produce posts. And I actually give feedback on, how they're writing too. And the people who are so proactive and wanting to also make content and become a better writer, those are the people who do the best. Not only because we're putting out more content, but they're really willing to learn. They have that humility to say, no, I'm not everything, even though that they're running very successful businesses. It's like, well, I'm not everything. I don't know this. I'm not a copywriter.
Yeah.
Okay. But I want to learn and get better. And I want to be more involved with this process with Nick. Always the better results. Always. I'd say that from the top of my head, that is the one
Yeah.
thing that I've.
And you mentioned that cheat sheets, are really effective these days. I feel like one of the things that I struggle with is good topics. Do you have a cheat sheet for like, hey, here's a bunch of great little topics, starter topics that I can kind of fill in the blanks with? Or what is your process for topic ideation?
Okay, this is a really good question because I was doing this just before we actually met on the call. So I have a nice process where I would listen back to prospect calls of my clients. So imagine if you were a client, you would say, yes, Nick, it's okay. Listen to my Zoom call with my client. I say, great, thank you. I'd share that with me. And I'd use an AI note taker to transcribe everything that prospect told you
Love
about their
it.
pain points. Then I would put it through ChatGPT and say, summarize the foremost or the 5 or 10 most pressing pain points that this person has.
Yeah.
So there we have our content Bible. Okay. I'm glad we're talking about this because this is really part of that process.
Yeah.
Right. So then I'd organize it into pain points. And then I have multiple cheat sheet formats that I like to go to. For example, the old way versus the new way. Yes or no mind maps. Are you doing this? Yes, no. No, do this. Yes, do this. Really, really powerful. Just a simple thing of like a step guide, like a road with steps that take you towards a desired destination. What else? Well, there's loads. There's really loads, but I love those ones. Those are formats, okay? And you can apply those to any niche that you're working.
Exactly.
But the important thing is that the subject matter is always in some sense related to the pain points.
Yeah.
And we're talking about actual things that prospects said to you. We're not relying on AI to tell us what our prospects say. We're listening to what our prospects say. We're using social media listening. We're using voice calls like Zoom calls, things like that. And when I meet with clients, we really get tactical about how can every single piece of content relate back somewhere to those things.
Love it. That's awesome. I know we're coming up on the end of our time here. Are there any other really interesting tips, hacks, cheat codes that the average business owner definitely needs to take advantage of right now?
Well, I can't think of any super secrets right now, really. Again, I'm not a LinkedIn expert, but through the years, it's like common sense things, okay? Know when your prospects are actually on LinkedIn, like when they're posting. Those times are really important, and try and steer your schedule towards that, okay? When you're posting, when they're posting, hopefully should be around the same time, etc. I think that's one thing. And the other hack is to stop learning to go viral and start learning how to actually get actual customers the right way by following the general framework that I've given you. Of course, you can learn to go viral. You can go viral. I'm not saying that you can't get clients by going viral, but that's a great hack.
Sure.
Is to try not to do that. And I wish I could suddenly think of another one for you, but I don't think I can right now. But I'll be sure to email you. And obviously, educational email courses.
Yeah.
The best way to capture people onto an email list so that they become part of your evergreen newsletter.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah, there. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, Nick, thank you so much for joining us today. For people that do want to connect with you, I'm assuming LinkedIn is the best place for them to do that, right?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Hit me up on LinkedIn, Nick Anderson Vines.
Amazing. We will be sure to link that up in the show notes. Thanks so much again.
No worries. Nice to meet you.